Welcome to The Explainer. I am so incredibly pumped to have you focused learners here today because we are going on the ultimate bottom-up anatomical journey. We spend a ton of time obsessing over our posture, our core strength, and fixing that nagging back pain, but we almost always completely ignore the literal foundation holding the whole shebang up, our feet. So today, we're fixing your kinetic chain, and we're doing it from the ground up.
Okay, let's dive into this. I've got a little challenge for you right off the bat. Wherever you are right now, if it's at all possible, take off your shoes. Yep, right this second, take off your shoes and socks. Look down at your feet and try to spread your toes as wide as you possibly can. Can you move them independently, or are they just kind of stuck together? Because if you can't splay those toes apart and control them, well, you're missing out on some absolutely fundamental human mechanics.
I'm gonna give you a little tough love here. If your toes are just smashed together and lack independent movement, your feet are basically acting like two blocks of dead weight at the bottom of your legs. And dragging around dead weight at the bottom of your kinetic chain, yeah, that explains exactly why your knees are aching and basically ready to file a formal resignation letter. When the feet don't work, the joints right above them get forced to take on loads they were literally never designed to handle. And a huge reason our feet end up functioning this way comes down to what you're probably wearing right now. Most of us walk around in these highly engineered max cushion shoes, which the source material so perfectly calls foot coffins. Now I get it. They feel like walking on plush, fluffy clouds, but that thick foam actually suffocates vital sensory feedback. Your brain relies on your feet feeling the ground to know exactly how to balance your body. When you cut off that signal, it completely messes with your brain's ability to align your posture, which eventually compresses your spine like a super stressed out accordion. This leads us to this really fascinating contradiction we see in modern fitness all the time. You can spend countless hours in the gym building these impressive, decorative muscles. But if you're ignoring your foundation, well, you're just adorably cosplaying as a functional human. Meanwhile, your actual structural integrity is quietly rotting away from the ground up. It's exactly like building a massive, gorgeous house on a foundation made of marshmallows.
Section 1. The kinetic chain reaction, from floor to spine. I love this part because the science of why our feet act as the primary, super important sensors for our entire kinetic chain is just mind-blowing. Let's move to and see how this builds, because this creates a highly predictable step-by-step chain reaction. Step 1. Those modern shoes put your feet into this heavily cushioned middle ground, so they completely lose their ground feel. Without that ground feel, you get zero adaptation. Step 2. Because the feet aren't gripping and sending signals, your glutes essentially just check out. They stop firing. But step 3, movement still has to happen, right? So your delicate lower back is forced to cover the shift, doing the heavy lifting your glutes and feet were supposed to be doing. This chain reaction is exactly why people drop like they got shot just bending over to pick up a single sock. There is this brilliantly simple concept from the research that says movement is the disc's meal. When we think about the health of our spinal discs, they literally require constant mechanical movement to flush fluids in and out to stay nourished and healthy. And guess what? That exact same logic applies to your feet. They desperately need mechanical demand and the stress of the hard ground to happily feed the rest of your posture. Wrapping them up in clouds is essentially starving your entire kinetic chain. It is wild to think about this sheer complexity we're starving here. There are exactly 26 bones plus dozens of intricate muscles packed into a single human foot. That is a massive portion of your body's entire skeletal structure right there in your foundation. And those 26 bones and all those muscles absolutely must be loaded and unloaded every single day to force an adaptation. If they aren't challenged, they atrophy and they stop sending those essential signals that keep you upright and agile. Section 2. Reclaiming the floor. Your action plan. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is realizing that the floor in your home is actually the absolute most expensive, yet completely underused piece of exercise equipment you own. So we're going to change that with a really cute and simple 3-minute protocol you can start literally today. Number 1, go barefoot as often as possible in your house. Let your feet interact with that hard floor so they can act as a natural nutrient flushing pump for your lower extremities. Number 2, practice toe splays. Actively spread those toes as wide as you can on the floor. And number 3, do a one-leg stand. Actually, a pro tip here, just stand on one leg while you're brushing your teeth. It's such an easy way to challenge your stability and wake up that foundation. By doing this every day, you are actively forcing your body out of what the source material calls sponge territory. Sponge territory is that comfortable middle where your feet just sit in soft foam all day, doing zero work.
The goal is to transition out of that sponge state and start building contractile cords. That means actually building up the contractile proteins inside your foot that allow you to produce real force and perfectly stabilize your body during a heavy squat, a deadlift, or honestly, even just a brisk walk down the street. And this brilliantly illustrates our next point, because obviously you can't go barefoot absolutely everywhere. If you need a training shoe for this kind of work in the gym, the source points to the Puma Fuse 3.0 as a great example of the right kind of gear. It handles the intense mechanical demand of a workout without suffocating the foot. It's totally stable for heavy lifts, but, and this is crucial, it's flexible enough to let your foot actually move, bend, and feel the ground. It definitely doesn't treat your feet like dead weight. So consider this my delightfully peppy warning to you. You need to prioritize fixing your foundation and just go bananas on your foot health before your lower back decides it is completely finished with you. It is so easy to confuse soft cushioning with actual support, but mechanical demand is the only thing that forces the body to adapt and grow stronger. You need a functioning foundation for your kinetic chain for sure. Which brings us to the ultimate provocative question you have to ask yourself as we wrap up today's explainer. When you look at your training and your footwear, are you building a body that just looks the part, or are you building one that can actually do the part? Think about how much human potential you can unlock just by ditching the foot coffins, embracing the floor, and letting your feet do their job. Thanks for joining me on this dive into your biomechanics, and keep exploring.